Hello and welcome to everyone. Today I will discuss class 10 chapter number 6. The name of the chapter is life process. So I will cover all the topic from NCERT. So the life process is basically related to living things. So first of all we will understand the difference between living and non-living things. So living things can be reproduced. That means they produce their young ones. Second, they locomote with their locomotory organs. That means they move from one place to another place with the help of their locomotory organs. The third, they show various metabolic activities, that means chemical reaction within the cell or in the body of the organism. Fourth, they can respire, and the example of the living things is microorganisms, plants, humans, etc. On the other hand, non-living things cannot be reproduced. They cannot locomote. The third, they cannot show any metabolic activities. They cannot respire. Example of the non-living things like iron, fan, table, etc. So what are life processes? All the living things on this earth want to exist, and for their existence they perform various processes, or we can say that all living organisms on the earth perform different functions for their continuity, collectively known as life processes. That means life processes are the basic functions performed by living organisms to survive on earth. So some of the life processes are nutrition, absorption, excretion, circulation, control and coordination, growth and reproduction, etc. So what is excretion? In which undigested food particles are eliminated from the body by various ways in different organisms. That means in living organisms and cells, the process of eliminating or expelling waste material from the body are called excretion. The next is circulation, in which absorbed food particles are transported into the whole body of an organism by various ways. The next is control and coordination, the process by which an organism locomotes or moves from one place to another place, and it also sends its surrounding environment. That means the response which a living being makes in relation to external stimuli is called control and coordination. The next is growth. It is a process in which an organism grows from childhood to an adult and at last old and dies. So the next is reproduction. It is a process in which an organism produces a new generation which is similar to you itself morphologically as well as genetically. That means the process by which cells and organisms produce other cells and organisms of the same kind is called reproduction. So the next heading is nutrition. So we will understand what is nutrition and what is the need of nutrition and how we get nutrients. So what is nutrition? The process of taking food inside the body and converting it into smaller molecules which can be absorbed by the body is called nutrition. So the next is need of the nutrition. Nutrition is needed to provide energy for doing any activity and provide essential nutrients for the life processes. So what is nutrients? Material which provide nutrition to organism are called nutrients. For example, carbohydrate and fats are the nutrients which are used by the organism as a source of energy. These nutrients are found in wheat, rice, corn, chocolates, etc. So when you eat them, you feel energetic. The next is protein. Vitamins and minerals are nutrients which build body parts like skin, blood, bones, etc. Example of these nutrients are keratin is the protein, collagen is the protein, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin E, iron is the mineral, calcium is the mineral, and many more. These nutrients are found in onion, fish, potatoes, milk, etc. So mode of the nutrition. The next heading is mode of the nutrition. Mode of the nutrition means method of obtaining food by an organism. They are mainly of two types mode of nutrition. The first one is autotrophic mode of nutrition and the second is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. The first one is autotrophic mode of nutrition. As the name suggests, auto means self and troph means nutrition. So in this mode of nutrition, an organism does not depend on other living being for food. The organism makes its own food by photosynthesis. Second, those organisms which can make their own food by photosynthesis are called autotrophs. For example, all green plants autotrophic bacteria. The second is heterotrophic mode. As the name suggests, heteros means others and troph means nutrition. That means those organisms which depend on other organisms for their food. That mode of nutrition are called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So heterotrophic nutrition is that mode of nutrition in which an organism cannot make its own food and depend on other organisms for its food. The next is those organisms which cannot make their own food and depend on other organisms for their food are called heterotrophs. For example, all the animals like man, dog, cat, lion, etc., most bacteria and fungi. Heterotrophs can be further divided into three types. The first is carnivore, the second is herbivore, and the third is omnivore. So we will discuss one by one. Carnivore, organisms that eat only animals are called carnivorous. Example, tiger, lion, snake, frog, etc. The second is herbivore. Organisms eat only plants are called herbivorous. Example, deer, rabbit, cow, elephant, etc. The third is omnivore. Organisms that eat both plants and animals are called omnivorous. Example, crow, human, dog, sparrow, etc. So the type of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is of three types. The first one is saprotrophic or saprophytic nutrition. The second is parasitic nutrition and the third is holozoic nutrition. We will discuss one by one. Saprotrophic or saprophytic nutrition. Saprotrophic nutrition is that nutrition in which an organism obtains its food from the decaying organic matter of dead plants, dead animals and rotten bread, etc. The organism being saprotrophic mode of nutrition are called saprophytes. So the next is parasitic nutrition. The parasitic nutrition is that nutrition in which an organism derives its food from the body of another living organism without killing it. For example, like mosquito, which is take their food from another organism without killing it. A parasite is an organism which feeds on other living organism, call it host. For example, some animals like Plasmodium and roundworm, a few plants like Casquita and several fungi and bacteria. The third is holozoic nutrition. The holozoic is that nutrition in which an organism takes the complex organism food materials into its body by the process of ingestion. The ingested food is digested and then absorbed into the body cell of the organism. For example, human beings and most of the animals. Nutrition in plants. As green plants prepare their own food, they make food from carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. This process is called photosynthesis. So as you can see that in the picture, water comes from the soil through the roots and carbon dioxide comes from the atmosphere and sunlight from the sun, and they make glucose and release oxygen. And extra food which is stored in the form of starch in the leaves. Conditions necessary for photosynthesis to take place are sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water. And the reaction of the photosynthesis is carbon dioxide plus water, energy from the light and chlorophyll in the leaves. That we get glucose and oxygen. The chemical formula of carbon dioxide, water and glucose and oxygen is given. The process of photosynthesis can be represented as follows. The process of photosynthesis takes place in the green leaves of a plant. Right? The food is prepared by the green leaves of a plant in the form of simple sugar called glucose. The extra glucose is changed into another food called starch carbohydrate. This starch is stored in the fruits and leaves of the plant. Plants provide food for animals. The green plants convert sunlight energy into chemical energy by making carbohydrates. So, how the plants obtain carbon dioxide, which is necessary for the photosynthesis. So, we have to understand how they get carbon dioxide. So, there are a number of tiny pores called stomata present on the surface of the leaves of the plant. So, carbon dioxide is entered into the leaves of the plant stomata present on the surface of the leaf. Each stomatal pore is surrounded by a pair of guard cells. Opening and closing of stomatal pores is controlled by the guard cells. When water flow into the guard cell, this cell become curved and cause to the pore open. On the other hand, when guard cell lose water, wrestling become straight and close the stomatal pores. So how the plants obtain water for photosynthesis? As we know that water is necessary for photosynthesis, so we have to understand how they get water for photosynthesis. The water required by the plant for photosynthesis is absorbed by the roots of the plant from the soil through the process of osmosis. Water absorbed by the roots of the plants is transported upward through the xylem vessel in the leaves, where it reaches the photosynthetic cells. The plants also need raw materials such as nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and magnesium from the soil. Nitrogen is an essential element used by the plants to make protein and other compounds. So, what is the site of the photosynthesis? Where photosynthesis occur? So, site of photosynthesis in a cell is chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll. Chloroplasts are mainly present in the photosynthetic cell, mesophyll cells of green plants. These cells contain more chlorophyll than other part of the plant cells. So what is photosynthetic organs? The process of photosynthesis is carried out in the green parts of a plant. This process mainly carried out in the leaves. So leaves are the photosynthetic organ for plants. Leaves having minute tiny pores-like structure on its outer surface are called stomata, which absorb CO2 and sunlight from the atmosphere. Leaves contain green pigment called chloroplast. For the process of photosynthesis, chloroplast contain chlorophyll, which is necessary for the photosynthesis. So chloroplast traps sunlight and gets water and minerals from xylem vessel and CO2 from stomata and carried out the process of photosynthesis. So as you can see in the diagram, it is the diagram of the leaf, so you can understand easily. So we will do experiment to show necessity of sunlight for photosynthesis. So take a potted plant for green leaves and place it in a dark place for about 3 to 4 days to discharge its leaves. Take a thin strip of aluminum foil and wrap it in the center of one leaf on both the sides so that sunlight may not fall on this cover part of the leaf. The remaining part of the leaf remains uncovered and exposed to sunlight. The next is now keep the plant in the sunshine for about 3 to 4 hours. Next, pluck the partially covered leaf from the plant and remove its aluminum foil. Next, remove its green color chlorophyll by boiling the leaf in alcohol with the help of water bath. Then wash the decolorized leaf with water to remove any chlorophyll which may be sticking it. Then pour iodine solution over the colorless leaf and observe the change in the color of the leaf. Observation. On adding iodine solution, cover part of the leaf does not turn to blue-black color, showing that no starch is present in the middle part of the leaf. So the uncovered part of the leaf which receive light turns blue-black is showing that starch is present in this part of the leaf. So what is the conclusion? The part of the leaf which is uncovered and hidden from sunlight does not contain starch, and the part of leaf which was exposed to sunlight contains starch. Therefore, we can say that sunlight is necessary for the photosynthesis. So next experiment to show the necessity of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. So take 2D charged potted plant. Then put this potted plant into two bell jars, one with potassium hydroxide solution, another with no potassium hydroxide. Then keep them in sunlight. After 3 to 4 hours, do iodine test on the leaves of the both jars. Observation. So you will see that the leaf on a plant with potassium hydroxide solution does not turn to blue-black, showing that no starch is present in this leaf. On the other hand, the leaf of a plant with no potassium hydroxide solution turns to blue-black, showing that starch is present in that leaf. So what is the conclusion? Since the potassium hydroxide solution in the first jar remove all CO2, that means potted plant in the first jar does not have CO2 for photosynthesis. That's why the plant with potassium hydroxide solution does not turn to blue-black, and hence there is no starch. So it can be said that CO2 is also a necessary material for photosynthesis.